Hey everyone, how you doing? This is Amon Green, Green Bay Packers all-time leading rusher, and you're watching Packers Total Access Live, your daily source for Packer content. Go Pack, go!
What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. It is January 27th. We are having, I think, the East-West Shrine Bowl tonight. We've got Senior Bowl practice. We got all kinds of stuff going on across the NFL draft, NFL offseason landscape. What we're going to dive into today is some breaking news as we have two coaches leaving the Green Bay Packers for the Miami Dolphins. We're not just going to tell you who those coaches are. We're going to break down kind of how important they were to this staff. And I haven't looked at this extensively. I put the article together without really trying to comprehend, okay, is this going to be a huge loss, not so big loss? We're going to talk about everything here. I want everybody to be involved in the comments section. I know everybody's already following in. Appreciate you guys hopping in here to be a part of the conversation. We're going to wrap up with a prospect profile in Logan Jones out of Iowa. I know a lot of people are going to get excited about that. He seems to be the fan favorite in terms of a potential draft choice for the Packers at the center position. So we will dive into that as well. Before we get into it all, if you would do that YouTube stuff for me, hit like, hit subscribe. If this is your first time tuning into PTA, welcome. Thank you for making us a part of your morning. We're not experts. We're not insiders. We're not media members. We're fans just like you, talking Packers on a daily basis. So if you're looking for that type of content, make sure you hit like, make sure you hit subscribe, and make sure you hit that bell icon so you don't miss out on future live streams. Full disclosure here, the power has been off and on all morning long. It was out all night long down here in Tennessee with the ice and everything. So if the stream just randomly goes down, know the power went out again, and we will pick back up a little later today. I feel confident that it's going to stay on, so we'll go rapid fire to get you guys all the information that you need. I want to give a shout out to everybody in the chat. We got Colby in the house. We got Margin Cron, William D. Lofton in the house. Appreciate you swinging through. The Freedom House, Mitchell's Mommy. We got Andy Dubs, Chad Inc., Packer Doug. Everybody in here hanging out, talking ball. Mike Z just stepped in. Everybody sit up straight. We got Mike Z in the house. We got, like I said, Andy Dub, number one Packer fan. What's up? What's up to you, sir? Ben Holden in here. Good morning to you. So if you guys are watching on X, do me a favor. On my profile, click on the YouTube link. It's a lot easier to be a part of the conversation on YouTube. If you want to watch on X, that's totally cool. We'll stay live on X for as long as we can. We got some potential sponsorships coming up that may make us YouTube exclusive. We'll see how that goes. But as of right now, we're going to stay on X. So if you guys are watching on X, it's a lot easier if you click on YouTube because you can actually see the YouTube comments and be a part of that conversation as well. So let's waste no more time. Let's get into it. The very first topic here, obviously, the Packers are losing a couple of coaches from their defensive side of their coaching staff. And the first one being Ryan Downer, obviously leaving Green Bay to join Jeff Hafley's staff in Miami. It was actually Aaron Wilson on X that broke this news, said Ryan Downer will be a secondary coach for the Dolphins. And he quote tweeted his previous tweet there a couple hours, I think before that maybe. Dolphins are hiring Packers defensive backs coach Ryan Downer per league source. So obviously, well, here's what I like about this, guys. First of all, I don't like that we're losing coaches, but I know there's a small portion of the fan base that are going to be mad at Jeff Hafley for poaching coaches away from the Green Bay Packers. It sounded like he and Matt LaFleur actually either met in person or had a conference call to discuss who he was interested in taking with him. I don't know about you guys, but I absolutely love that. I love the fact that Jeff Hafley wasn't a prick about anything. He, at the initial press conference when they announced him as the new head coach of the Miami Dolphins, he was very, very, very adamant, very vocal about what Matt LaFleur meant to him and the opportunity he gave him and how much respect he has for Matt LaFleur and all the Green Bay Packer players. I just love how they've approached this whole thing. And then he reaches out to Matt to go, hey, here are the coaches I'm thinking. Would that put you in too much of a bind? Right. I think that's absolutely awesome. Now, Matt LaFleur, it's very widely known that Matt LaFleur is one of the rare coaches that he does not block lateral moves either. So if somebody wants to go to another place rather than be like a Kyle Shanahan or even a Mike McCarthy, where in the past they would go, nope, blocking them, not allowing them to leave. By the rules, you can block those lateral moves, but you can also grant permission to go. I love that Matt approaches it that way too. Like, you don't want to hold someone else out of an opportunity to better their family, right? And I know there's a portion of the fan base that'll probably go, if it don't benefit the Packers, I could care less, right? I get that standpoint, that hard-nosed, diehard fan mentality. I get it. I completely understand. But also, this is something that if you create a bad name for yourself across the league as a head coach, a general manager, what have you, that can really tarnish those future working relationships with other coaches, other players. If you have a reputation of being one of those guys that's not going to let someone make a lateral move, or someone that kind of holds a coach back by the rule book to make sure that you've got your staff as strong as possible, guess what happens the next time you've got an opening and you want to bring in 3 or 4 interviews? They start to turn down those interviews, right? They may take the interview to kind of prop their status up in other teams' eyes, and then turn around and go, nope, not interested. I'm taking this offer, right? They could use you in the process as well. So I just love that Matt approaches it that way, to be honest with you. So again, Ryan Downard is heading to the Dolphins. Rob Domofsky also tweeted out, as Aaron Wilson said, Packers DB coach Ryan Downard is joining Hafley's staff in Miami. A source said Downard will be the Dolphins' defensive passing game coordinator. So now you're getting details there, right? So it was actually a promotion, going to get more money. That's one step closer to being the defensive coordinator, although he is not going to be the defensive coordinator. We'll talk about who that is here in a minute. This news just broke before that. And so new Packers defensive coordinator Jonathan Gannon will have at least one spot to fill on his staff. We now know it's 2. Spoiler alert, it's linebackers coach. We'll talk about that in a little more detail here in a second. So again, you're now looking for a secondary coach, right? So you might want to comb through. And again, when the announcement's made, whoever's going to replace them, we will do a full deep dive breakdown, coaching history, background, that whole 9 yards. So you know exactly what you need to know about that coach as a player, as a coach at the National Football League level, at the college level, at the high school level, whatever this coaching history says. So secondary coach, going to need that. Do you go comb back through the 2022 Philadelphia Eagles coaching staff and try to find a DB coach there? Do you, maybe promote from within? Maybe you've got a couple of assistants that you like to be just a secondary coach. Maybe that's the case, right? Maybe you just let Derek Ansley do it and he'll continue to be whatever his title is, passing game coordinator or whatnot, right? Maybe that's the approach you take. I don't know. But we'll see here in the near future as they make those announcements. So Ryan Downard, been a cornerstone of the Green Bay Packers defensive staff for nearly a decade. On January 26th, obviously, it was confirmed he was going to Miami. He was a former player, all right? So his playing career was 2007 to 2011. He was a standout defensive back in college, known for his high football IQ and ball hawking ability. So in college, he played at Eastern Michigan University. In 2007, he burst onto the scene as a redshirt freshman, recording 6 interceptions, ranked 12th nationally. He was named an honorable mention freshman All-American. If you're wondering, Clayton, why he's not our coach anymore, why are you saying this? I want to give everybody a good idea of what we're losing, right? And that'll we can gauge that against who we fill that spot with. 2008 to 2009, he suffered back-to-back broken arms that limited his playing time during his sophomore and junior seasons. 2010, he returned for his senior season, serving as a team captain and finishing with 60 tackles. Professionally, he briefly played in the German Football League for the Dresden Monarchs. Now, what we always say, if those who can't teach, right? So he goes right into coaching. Coaching career, collegiate and high school, down to begin his coaching journey at the high school level before quickly moving through the college ranks. So he was at Shawnee High School. He began that there in Lima, Ohio, as a defensive backs coach. He moved to Toledo in 2013, serving as a graduate assistant on the defensive staff. He went to Texas Tech in 2013, 2014, served as a graduate assistant there. Then he moves over to Bowling Green in 2016, 2017, initially joined as a director of football operations in 2016 before being promoted to the safeties coach in 2017. Now, coaching career in the NFL in 2014, obviously he goes to the Cleveland Browns in 2014, 2015, served as a defensive assistant. That's where he first worked with Jeff Hafley and Mike Pettin, all right? Then in 2018, obviously to today or to recently this year, defensive quality control coach hired by Mike McCarthy. They kept him on staff, obviously 2019 to 21. He was the assistant defensive backs coach. 22, he was the safeties coach. 23 through 25, he was the defensive backs coach. He oversaw a secondary that ranked in the top 10 in passing defense for 4 consecutive seasons. That's right, even through the Joe Barry years. People still are mind-boggled that was the case. He notably assisted in Jair Alexander's 2020 All-Pro campaign and the 2024 development of Xavier McKinney. So obviously got several defensive backs that he really had a lot of success with. Now, obviously, he's hired by the Miami Dolphins here in January 2026 as the secondary coach for the Dolphins, reuniting with Jeff Hafley. And it's now being mentioned and reported that he is going to be the passing game coordinator. So that is our boy Ryan Downard. How do you guys feel about it? Is it a big loss? We can replace him. I don't know. It's a lot of football experience, man. He's been around the game for a while to be such a young guy per se, right? Now let's shift gears to the other coach that we lost, and that is Sean Duggan. He's leaving Green Bay to join Jeff Hafley's staff in Miami as well. Tom Silverstein put the tweet out. Packers are going to lose linebackers coach Sean Duggan. I don't know if it's Dugan or Duggan. I've heard it said both ways. I'm going to say Duggan, Sean Duggan, to the Dolphins, and Jeff Hafley, sources said, might be his defensive coordinator. They were at Boston College together. So obviously Duggan has rapidly become a key figure on the Green Bay Packers defensive staff, a long-term protege of Jeff Hafley. He was promoted to linebacker coach in early 2025. Early 2025, following a successful season as a defensive assistant. Below is the chronological breakdown of his playing/coaching career. So he played from 2011 to 2014. He followed the footsteps of legendary linebackers at Boston College, establishing himself as a vocal leader. College, he played obviously at BC. His highlights, he appeared in 45 career games for the Eagles, totaling 115 tackles, 6.5 tackles for loss, and 2 interceptions. Leadership, he was voted a team captain for his senior season in 2014. Notably, he was both a high school and college teammate of Pro Football Hall of Fame finalist Luke Kuechly. I did not know that. Very, very interesting. High school, he attended St. Xavier in Cincinnati, Ohio, where he earned all Ohio Division I second team honors. Now, coaching career starts in 2015 here. All right. So Boston College in 2015 began his career as a graduate assistant at his alma mater. He went to Hawaii. Coach Lynn, shout out Hawaii in the house, right? From 2016 to 2017, he served as the linebackers coach. He mentored, I know I'm going to screw it up, Jelani Tavai, I hope I'm saying that right, who would eventually become a second-round NFL draft pick. Went to UMass, University of Massachusetts, there in 2018. State in 2019, he served as the graduate assistant under Jeff Hafley. That 1 year Hafley was there at Ohio State. This was the start of a long-standing professional partnership. Then he goes to Boston College in 2020. Through 2023, reunited to the Eagles as the linebackers coach. In 21, he was named to the 24/7 Sports 30 under 30 list of top young coaches. That's wild. And then in 2023, he was promoted to co-defensive coordinator while continuing to lead the linebacker room. Now, moving on to the NFL, obviously, Jeff Hafley brung him with him from BC. So in 24, he served as a defensive assistant. He worked closely with the rookie Edgerrin Cooper, who earned PFWA all-rookie honors and was the only NFL player to record 75-plus tackles, 13-plus tackles for a loss, and 3-plus sacks in 2024 season. Green Bay Packers last year, he was promoted to the linebacker coach on January 31st, 2025, after Anthony Campanelli departed to become the defensive coordinator for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Under Duggan's leadership, the Packers linebacker unit helped the defense finish as a top 10 unit in the NFL for the 2025 season. So again, what are we looking for, guys? We're looking for a secondary coach, right? And we're looking for a linebacker coach. That's what we're looking for. Now, so if I'm Matt LaFleur, I'm going to Jonathan Gannon and go, all right, Bob, bring me your top 5 choices at each of those 2 positions. I'll take you my top 5. Let's bounce it off Ed Policy. Let's bounce it off Goody even, right? Hey, do you feel like this lines up with what we're trying to accomplish as a team, right? So it's going to be really, really interesting to see who ends up filling those 2 roles there for the Green Bay Packers. So I just want to kind of comb through the chat real quick. How do you guys feel about it, man? Is this a huge loss? We can replace him. How do y'all feel about it? I'm interested to know. Everybody let me know real quick in the chat. I'm looking at the comments. I want to get you guys involved here before we wrap this segment up. How do you guys feel about losing these 2 assistant coaches here in obviously linebacker coach and secondary coach? Because I do feel like that Ryan Downard is the bigger one, although after reading the resume there for our boy Duggan, man, it does seem like it's a little, I don't know, man. He seems like a little bit under the radar for me, you know. Maybe he was more important than I thought, you know. Let's see here. The Adam Block says players not plays, smiley emoji. So I don't think he's too concerned about it, right? And number 1 Packer fan says, I'm already nervous about Gannon. You're not the only one, man. There's a lot of people that are nervous. I'm not nervous about Gannon. If anything, I'm the opposite. Like, I don't know if this makes sense or not, number 1 Packer fan, but when we were breaking it down the other day live on the show, as the news broke, you know, I was kind of looking at it like somebody had asked the question in the chat, and it was a great question. They were like, how do you see this, you know, with you know, like if the window is open to win a Super Bowl right now, the championship window is open right now. If that's the case, then who gives you the best chance right now? And I had to step back because you guys know I was real big on Jim Leonhard. right? I was also big on Durante Jones. Al Harris, I was okay with, but those are all young, not necessarily young, but unproven, I guess young in a coach's eyes. They were unproven, right? They had never been defensive coordinators. You don't know how they're going to react to that. And then Jonathan Gannon was obviously scheduled to have an interview. And I had to shift gears. And to answer that question, to be honest, it was Jonathan Gannon. Like, that would probably be the better pick. Head coaching experience, dominated as a defensive coordinator with the Philadelphia Eagles. And I'm hearing people say, well, he had better players with the Eagles. He had great players. Guys, the year that he was with the Eagles, they were a legit top 10 defense. When he left that next year, they fell down into the 20s. So one thing changed there, right? So maybe it wasn't just the players. It was, I think it had a lot to do with the way Gannon operated there as a DC. So when you say I'm already nervous about Gannon, LOL, I get it. I understand. I'm kind of the opposite. I'm not nervous at all. I'm just a little concerned. Is there not as much upside there? And we're going to find out. And it's wild to think you have to ask that question, right? Is there limited upside? Because the reality is with Jonathan Gannon, if he had not taken the head coaching job with the Arizona Cardinals, I think we would all agree it's a good thing that someone offered him a head coaching job, right? That's not a negative, right? So they seen him as one of the up-and-coming top coaches, top defensive minds in the entire National Football League, right? So if he hadn't taken that job, and let's say that he had the year he had in Philly, and he said, you know what, guys, I'm going to take a couple years off. I'm just going to spend time with the family. And then bang, all of a sudden he says, all right, I'm ready to coach again. He would be one of the top 3 candidates in the entire National Football League, probably for a head coaching job, to be honest with you. So again, are we allowing his stint there in Arizona as a head coach to really, really kind of muddy the water on how we truly see Jonathan Gannon as a defensive mind? I don't know if that makes sense or not. Let's see here. What number one Packer fans said that. That's a good point, but yes, that is what I'm talking about. The upside after Hafley setting the bar so high, can Gannon continue from there? It's a great question, right? It's a great question. So I'm curious to know if you guys are watching this video back later. Let me know in the comments. How do you feel about the Jonathan Gannon hire? How do you feel about, more specifically, Ryan Downer going to the Miami Dolphins and linebacker coach Duggan going down there as well? Are those huge losses? Are they just, we'll be able to replace them just fine? Maybe you're more excited about going, hey, what if he can find a couple of coaches that he had on that Philly team that were dominant, right? That he can bring in to be his linebacker coach, to be his secondary coach. Also, what does that mean for the remaining staff members here in Green Bay? Because it kind of feels like, unless news is broke after we went live here, it kind of feels like to me, probably the only 2 coaches that are going to get poached. Hopefully that's the case. And then you could kind of reset, see who you want to keep. I would really expect Coach Ogabasi to go with Hafley. You know, that's one I'd be surprised if he does. So maybe they're not done. We'll keep our finger on the pulse ever. Let us know in the comments, how do you feel about losing those 2 coaches? Make sure you hit like, subscribe, click the bell icon so you're notified anytime we go live in the future. All right, let's shift gears now, guys, and let's talk a little draft prospect real quick. Listen, anytime before we get, I see the super chat there, Mike. I'll hit that real quick before we get into this next segment. You know, anytime that we talk draft, and it's not the month of April, you get a mixed view on this. You get some folks. Let me get over here to the news cycle so we make sure that we don't miss anything in terms of news that may break. Give me just 1 second. I apologize, guys. Give me just a sec. This is live. When you're the only host, this is what you get. They're live streaming. Okay, so where was I going to go with that? I don't even remember what I was saying. Oh, when you talk draft this time of year, people either love it or they hate it, man. I had some people that reached out and they were like, man, the prospect report was awesome. Loved the mock draft. I mean, they're over the freaking moon about it. And I had other people going, I just unsubbed to your channel. I'm not ready for draft talk yet. Okay. You can't make everybody happy, I guess. And we try to look at everything on this show through the lens of what is the team focused on right now? I can promise you what they're trying to do. No, you got to be kidding. We're not doing a mock today. We may do one later on this afternoon. We'll see. But you know, what's the team thinking about right now? What are they focused on right now? They're still building their boards, right? They're building their draft board. They're looking at mock drafts, believe it or not, teams. That's how it got started. Many people don't know that, but the mock drafts were something that the teams, it got started from a guy who was doing mock drafts and doing draft previews. He's actually a funeral home director, if I remember correctly, maybe he owned the funeral home. You guys can look up the name. He kind of started this publication and where it would do like, here's my mock drafts. Here's where I think teams are going to go in the draft. And then all of a sudden teams wanted access to that information. So they started buying his magazine or what have you. And that started the mock draft frenzy. So these teams, including the Green Bay Packers, are doing tons and tons of mock drafts behind the scene. They want to know exactly how they think this thing is going to fall so they can be best prepared to land their top prospects in an orderly fashion, right? Just because you draft someone at this particular spot doesn't necessarily mean he's hands down the best prospect there. It may be something where you have a prospect with a slightly lesser grade over, let's say you got a wide receiver, right? Let's say Matthew Golden last year. Matthew Golden was hands down the best wide receiver, but he was slightly below some guys that you have on the radar as well. Well, you may go, okay, we're not going to be able to get another receiver at that caliber. We're going to reach just a touch to take the best receiver on the board right now, because it may even be in the same tier, but you look up and say, we got a cluster here of 3 or 4 other players at a different position. Let's hold off on that to the second round because they're going to fall to us, right? That's what happened with tight end the year we took Tucker Kraft and Luke Musgrave. I firmly believe that. Because they took Luke Musgrave, they probably held off. All right, now it's time. Let's take Luke Musgrave, bang. And then you looked up in the third round. Damn, Tucker Kraft has just as good a grade as Luke Musgrave, just a slightly less maybe. Let's take him in the third. We'll double dip. Thank God they did that, because obviously Tucker Kraft ended up being the better player. Going to the super chat here from Mike Z. Appreciate you, buddy. He says, I'm super excited about it. His attention to detail. And now that he is not a head coach, he will be dialed in as a DC. Let's go. It's a great point, right? You got all these fires you're constantly trying to put out as a head coach. The fact that he could just focus on defense, obviously he has success there. I'm excited about it. And you're already seeing all the information come out. He's only going to run this. He's only going to run that. He's only going to do this. I want to challenge everybody. Go back 2 years ago. Go whatever date before Jeff Hafley was hired. I want you to go back and watch the show where it was, you could probably go a week after the hire. I kept telling everybody, do not buy into the hype that he's going to play all this man coverage. Like, everybody was reporting, boy, it's going to be man cover. We're finally getting press man. We're getting press man. And I'm like, guys, this dude's not going to come from college. Just because they played more man coverage in college than they did in the pros does not mean he's going to come to the pros and run. It's not going to work like that. You've got to immediately go to, okay, philosophically, what has Jeff Hafley done as a defensive coach, right? Where has he studied? Who has he coached under? And the names you would come up with are people like Robert Saleh, right? People like Pete Carroll, people like Dan Quinn, right? And these are all cover 3 buzz base defenses from the old Legion of Boom days, right? Now, immediately people think, well, we're just going to run quarters the majority of the time. Everybody thought that Joe Barry was going to run quarters too. Reality is we didn't just sit in quarters the majority of the time. We didn't do that with Joe Barry. His last year here, we played middle field close, which is cover 3, cover 1. There could have been match principles, but it wasn't straight quarters coverage. Mixed in a lot of cover 6 as well. The one thing I do feel comfortable saying about Jonathan Gannon, you will see far less cover 6 and a lot more cover 4. But again, it doesn't mean, just like with Jeff Hafley, those people that report you're gonna finally get your man coverage DC. It's like, no, you're not. No, you're not. The thought that he's going to come out and play 40% man coverage or something, you've lost your mind. 40 is, half of the snaps, obviously. Easy math, right? But that is an extremely high. And I don't think anybody ran 40% man coverage last year, right? It's typically somewhere and I don't have, actually, I can pull it up right here. Let's do it real quick just to show you 2025 coverage. So notice the man coverage on the left side here on the left column, okay? So right off the bat, the thing that sticks out, the Cleveland Browns played 37% cover 1, 3% cover 0, 1% cover 2 man. So they played 41% man coverage, and they ran man coverage more than anybody, it looks like, across the entire league. You see what I'm saying? And for those people that were saying Jeff Hafley, and thank you for the super chat there, man. Greatly appreciate the support there, Mike. Everybody was pretending like Jeff Hafley is going to come in and play dominant man coverage. Guys, we played 15% cover 1 man last year, 2% cover 0, and not even up to the 1% mark of cover 2 man under. So again, it's one of those things you immediately go to the numbers. Don't buy into all the hype and what people think are going to happen. He's going to be more, that's the other thing. He's going to be more aggressive. He's going to blitz more. And then we had to hear all throughout year 1, well, Hafley's blitz and Hafley's blitz and Hafley's blitz. No, he's not. That's simulated pressure. He's still bringing 4. He's showing blitz. He's coffee house mugging, as he called coffee house. We always called it double barrel or double A mug. And then he would drop guys out. What you're doing is you're taking away the pre-snap readability of the quarterback, and you're sugaring, just like you can sugar with a 2-high safety set, which we'll probably see more of with Gannon. You can also sugar with a blitz and drop those guys out. right? Or do a late safety rotation out of the two high shell looks. So, again, man, you just got to be careful where you get your information. And I'm not perfect. I'm still learning. Guys, I have so much to learn about the game of football. But I just try to back things up on this show with, all right, what are the numbers actually saying? All right, what's the tape actually showing? And then let's get in here and talk about it. We'll figure it out together. That makes sense. So, all right, let's move on to this prospect report. I ain't gonna lie, man. I'm kind of excited about this. And listen, it's not that I'm a Logan Jones fan. All right. I'm not a huge Logan Jones fan. I haven't watched much of his tape. Okay. I'm not one of these people that's like, oh man, Logan Jones is the guy. He's that dude. I get excited when other Packer fans get excited about something. And I know that doesn't seem to be the norm. There's a lot of people that, just because Jim Leonard played at Wisconsin, that's the only reason they want him. Like, why are we trying to piss on everybody's Cheerios? It's obvious we got a lot of Wisconsin Badger fans that are Packer fans. Why are you constantly trying to beat them down because they like something? You know what I'm saying? Same thing kind of applies with Logan Jones, center out of Iowa. For whatever reason, I'd say it's probably proximity. We got a lot of Packer fans in Iowa. They love Logan Jones. So I skipped right over Connor Lew. We'll get to that later, on another show. But Logan Jones prospect report. All right. Let's see what there is to like about Logan Jones, center out of Iowa. Okay. And if there's any information wrong here, guys, that I got wrong, let me know in the chat. Let me know. Comment on Patreon. You can find this article, patreon.com/Packer Fan Total Access. If you want to join our community over there, it's the best way to support what we do at PTA. Listen, you watching the show, you hitting like, you hitting sub, that's supporting the show enough. Please don't feel obligated to join our Patreon community. But the people that want to support the show a little extra and want to be a part of the community, you can find that at patreon.com/Packer Fan Total Access. So here we go. Logan Jones, center, Iowa Hawkeyes. All right. Let's get into it. So, obviously, graduate senior, 6'3", 302 is the listing we had him at. Biographical overview. A native of Council Bluffs, Iowa. Jones was a state champion in shot put and discus before arriving at Iowa and as a highly touted defensive lineman. In 2022, he made the selfless transition to center. That's wild to think about. That explains why I was seeing some pictures of him wearing number 95. That explains that, right? So, former defensive lineman, former shot put champion, okay? Defensive lineman converts over to center, following the footsteps of former Hawkeyes great Tyler Linderbaum. Does that sound familiar, gang? He concluded his career with 49 starts as a primary leader for a unit that won the 2025 Joe Moore Award. I had no idea that Tyler Linderbaum came from Iowa. Is that true, guys? Let me know in the chat if that's incorrect. That's wild to think about. Pretty cool. Physical profile and athleticism, the freak factor. Jones is a perennial member of Bruce Feldman's freaks list, highlighted by his 705-pound squat. And Chris does confirm, yeah, he played Iowa. That's awesome. Tyler Linderbaum did. 705-pound squat from Logan Jones. That's crazy. That's an Iowa record as well. And a 34-inch vertical jump. Why does that matter, guys? When you can squat 705 pounds and you got a vertical jump of 34 inches at 300 pounds, that is called explosion, my friends. I can't wait to see his RAS. His vertical, his broad should be through the roof. You know, if I were him, I would just throw those stats out there and go, hey, guys, pull a Kirk Signetti. Google me. I got explosiveness. All right. I ain't even got to do this. Might even hurt his stock if you try to do it. So don't get me wrong. I want to see him do the drills at the combine and at the pro day, but you got numbers like that backing you up. Why take a risk of hurting your stock, right? Mobility. He possesses elite lateral range and juice out of his stance. He's arguably the best reach block center in the class, capable of getting his hips around defenders to seal lanes instantly. So you're talking about a guy who has elite lateral range and, quote, juice out of his stance. I don't know about you guys, but get me excited here. Get me excited a little bit. Leverage. At 6'3", he naturally plays with a lower center of gravity. While he lacks elite arm length, sub 31 inches, that might hurt him in Goody's eyes. I hope it doesn't. His lower body power allows him to anchor against much larger interior defenders. Now, another thing, we talked about this last night when we were breaking down Jake Slaughter. You guys can go watch that prospect report, that scouting report we did on last night's show, or yesterday's show, rather. Jake Slaughter, I think he's 6'5". So we have some people with a little concern, like I think it was Solder in the chat that mentioned it, like, at 6'5", it's kind of like Josh Myers. Are we worried about that being too tall at center? Here you got a guy in Logan Jones that's listed as 6'3". And again, we'll get the official measurements when everything, comes along there. But again, 6'3", lower center of gravity, shorter arms, though. That's probably going to hurt his draft stock a little bit. Let's talk about technical skills. Pass protection, statistically dominant in 2025. He finished as PFF's #1 graded pass blocking center in the nation at 90.1, allowing just 1 sack all season and 0 hits on the quarterback. Boys, let me tell you, Goody is going to love that stat right there. He loves his pass blocking offensive lineman. Man, this makes a lot of sense. I'm getting a little more excited about this. You guys know Jake Slaughter is our best center on the board. Before we get now, it's as the board sits here on January 27th. That's going to shuffle as we get DJ and everybody else's information on the board as well. But man, Logan Jones is looking pretty appealing here. Run blocking, a technician in zone blocking schemes. He excels at climbing to the second level to pick off linebackers. Duo. In 2025, he helped pave the way for a ground game that eclipsed 200 yards in 5 different contests. We need run blocking help, right, guys? Discipline in over 700 snaps during the 2025 season. Jones was credited with 0 penalties, reflecting elite mental processing and hand placement, i.e., high football IQ and a high-level technician with his hand placement. That's really exciting. I mean, what's not to like here? Great pass protector. We've already talked about he's got elite mobility. He can squat 705 pounds. He's a good run blocker. He's a disciplined player. He hardly ever gets called for penalties. We know we could use some of that, right? Now let's talk about areas of improvement. There's no prospects out there that are absolutely perfect, right? So areas for improvement. Scheme. His lack of massive girth, 302 pounds, and length makes him a risky fit for, quote, gap or, quote, power-heavy schemes that require him to move massive nose tackles vertically. So there's the weak spot. Can he move a nose tackle off of the ball at the NFL level? So make a mental note of that. That's something you probably want to go pull the highlights, pull the tape, watch it, and see if that's a true concern or not. Anchor versus power. While his squat numbers are elite, NFL-level power rushers may challenge his short arms. If a defender gets into his chest first, he can struggle to reset his hands. So another thing that we've kind of talked about, right? When you look at the negatives here, it's saying, hey, he may not have the power, even though he's got that strong squat, right? He may not have the power to move nose tackles off the ball, and he can struggle to reset his hands. The short arms are going to come into play a little bit, okay? So those are the negatives. Again, I think the positives far outweigh the negatives. Obviously, the freak factor is mobility, is leverage, is pass protection, run blocking, discipline, all that. Scheme specificity, if I'm saying it right. And anchor versus power are the things you really want to dig into with the tape. Now, let's talk about this 2026 NFL draft projection. I love looking at this from different angles here. His draft range, day 2. So it's going to be round 2 through 3. Where do we pick, guys? Jake Slaughter may be off the board. We read his prospect report. They were saying he may go in the first round, late first. I doubt it, but he may go late first. Now, with Connor Lew in the ACL and his stock dropping a little bit, that makes it a little more shallower of a pond, if you will, for center prospects. So maybe that forces Jake Slaughter into the first round. But nonetheless, you're looking at Logan Jones potentially being a 2nd to 3rd round pick. So right there in our range, right? For where are we picking at, guys? 54 and 72, or is it 52 and 74, wherever it is? So keep an eye on him there. It says, while some teams may hesitate due to his size, his technical floor and athletic ceiling make him a plug-and-play starter for zone-heavy offenses, San Francisco, Miami, or Detroit. Well, you'd hate to see him in Detroit, wouldn't you? That would suck. Key accolades, he was a Remington Trophy winner, the nation's top center. He was unanimous first-team All-American, 2-time first-team All-Big Ten in 24 and 25, and an Outland Trophy finalist. All right, now let's talk about where we've got him ranked on our PTA Big Board. We have him officially, as it sits right now, on January 27th. This will change. This will shuffle. We have him in the number 71 spot, or actually 70th, I think. Again, we got a few placeholders. It's showing 73 on the screen. Just know there's a couple, 2 or 3 placeholders. I think it would actually be 70 or 71 there. Nonetheless, how did we get to that point? In 2023, he was the 120th ranked PFF at his respective position. In 24, he was the 4th ranked center. 25, he was the 9th ranked center. So you got him ranking in the top 10 in terms of PFF grades his final 2 years in college. That is huge. PFF Big Board, however, has him in the 168 spot. Isn't it wild to think that they've seen him as the 4th best and 9th best center, yet they've got him all the way down at 168 on their big board? The consensus big board has him in the 107 spot. Okay, so that's where he's sitting at there. Now, when you dive down and let's just sort our PTA big board by center rankings, he's the 3rd ranked center on the PTA big board. Okay, the number 1 center, Jake Slaughter out of Florida with a 38.8 score when we took this information down. Connor Lew, center out of Auburn, granted coming off the knee injury, 55.5. Then we've got Logan Jones at a 72.0. Right behind him is Pat Coogan at an 84.8. Now, the thing I want you guys to notice here that are watching live on YouTube, I'll try to explain it to everybody on the podcast. This next to last column here is the consensus big board ranking. That's where the consensus big board sees these guys. What you're looking for with our PTA big board that really screams this could be a steal right here is notice when the consensus big board number is high and the PTA grade is low, that's going to tell you, wow, that's probably going to be a really, really, really good value pick at that particular spot. Now, let's rewind back to Anthony Belton last year, taken in the 2nd round. It was the opposite. In Anthony Belton's case, there was a lower number on his consensus big board, and we had a higher number on our PTA grade. What does that mean? It means, okay, you're kind of reaching right here, going with the popular pick, if you will. Does that make sense? So, again, what you're looking for is a higher big board grade, consensus big board grade, and a lower PTA grade, low number wins is what I mean by that. So Connor Lew is right about where he needs to be. And again, it's January 27th. 54 on the consensus big board, 55.5 on the PTA board. So that would be a good pick for us right around that spot if we feel comfortable he is going to be healthy for his rookie year here in 2026. I would rather not take that risk with all the injury stuff that we've got going on already. But if Connor Lew can prove he's good to go, I would have no problem with that pick. It's a big if, though. So, again, if you were to sort by consensus big board, it would show Connor Lew's number 1, Jake Slaughter's 2, Logan Jones's 3, Pat Coogan's 4. But our PTA big board, it's actually Jake Slaughter 1, Connor Lew 2, Logan Jones 3. And, again, you're getting great value for the Logan Jones pick. What I mean by that is the consensus big board has him at 107. We have him at 72.0. So you're talking about a 30-point difference there in terms of ranking. What this suggests, guys, is Logan Jones, in my eyes, is worthy of the 72nd pick, okay? Now, again, when we go to draft, he may be significantly higher. He may be, on the actual rankings, which we don't have the rankings off to the left in terms of all prospects, but he may be worthy of something higher. Like, we've got a 72.0 grade on him. If we bounce back, he's actually worthy of like the 70th pick. Now, if you take him at 65, is it a reach? Technically, according to our PTA big board, but what do you consider a reach? Because we're going to break them down into tiers in increments of 5 and 10, I believe is how we do. So you may look up and see Logan Jones in the same tier with 5 or 6 other prospects that, have a 70 grade or a 71 grade. They're technically better than Logan Jones on our big board. However, you're still in that tier where you go, okay, we're not considering that a reach, if that makes sense. And of course, Pat Coogan's going to be a great value pick too, if indeed he does fall to around 140. I don't know if he will. Obviously out of Indiana, everybody about that program is buzzing right now, right, after winning the Natty. So if he truly is considered in the 140 range, we've got an 84.8 grade on him. And then, of course, behind him, it's not a center, but you got Keelan Rutledge, guard out of Georgia Tech. If you decide to go the guard route, Keelan Rutledge is great value there as well, 91.0, and he's 122 on the consensus big board. So just to kind of show you guys, when you hear me say I really like this prospect, oh, man, that's a great value pick for where we're picking right now in the mock draft. When you hear me say those things, it's not personal opinion. I'm not going, I really like this guy. And listen, one of my big pet peeves are when people just look at the PFF grades and they go, oh, this is a steal, that's a steal, this is a steal right here because his PFF grades are higher. PFF isn't everything, as we talk about on this show all the time. You can see it's baked in. We got multiple facets of PFF baked into our big board, but it's mainly for quick reference and to kind of balance things out. I want those guys, and what our board essentially says is it's a good balance of the PFF grade, the PFF ranking, the consensus board ranking, former NFL scout Daniel Jeremiah's ranking, Dane Brugler, NFL draft expert with the Beast draft guide that they have every year. He's incorporated there. We're going to have to shift from the 33rd team, and I think we're going to use Walter Football this year. We're adding that element in. So you're going to get all this. And then Greg Cosell will give bonuses for Greg Cosell. If he did a big board, we would put more stock in his big board than anything. He just does individual scouting. We treat Greg Cosell like he's our personal scout here. Okay. And okay, what did Greg Cosell think about him? He absolutely loved him. Give him a 7-point bonus. He thought he was a really good prospect. Give him a 5-point bonus. Okay. He had positive things to say, but he wasn't over the moon. Let's give him a 3-point bonus. It's a guy he didn't like. No penalty, but definitely no bonus. So at the end of the day, if you've got what we call a cluster buster coming up, where you got a cluster of prospects and you need to make a decision between those prospects, right? What we like to do is, as that cluster forms of the remaining prospects on draft day, when we're doing our live draft party, our draft coverage here, we'll be showing you this stuff in real time. And as everything falls into place, we'll go, man, we got 3 players here that we really like, 2 at the same position. What did Greg Cosell think? Oh, there's one that Greg Cosell loved. That's our pick. When you hear me say, really like this prospect here, has nothing to do with my personal opinion, has everything to do with the board. I remove my bias out of the situation. Okay. That makes sense. So that's just kind of an idea of how to look at everything. Okay. Now, again, if you guys want to go check this stuff out, you can find it over at patreon.com/Packer Fan Total Access. Another thing too, you'll notice draft prospects here. If you click on this, I've created a collection now. Okay. And I'm going to pull it up on another screen because it jumped to another screen. And I'm going to just kind of give you an idea. And again, if you're a member of our Patreon group, you have access to all of these reports that we've done. That Logan Jones report we just did, it's one of this many, guys. Look at all these prospect reports that are already ready to go. We'll just pick a random one. We talked about Kristen Miller, right? Obviously, the kid out of Georgia, the defensive tackle, right? Bang, click on it. You have access now to all the information. We're going to break these down in real time as we move through the draft process and the draft season. Everything is right there at your disposal. So again, patreon.com/Packer Fan Total Access. Everybody in the chat, how do you feel about Logan Jones? Let me know. What are we thinking here? Which would you prefer? I'm going to ask this question real quick. You got to answer fast. One, just the name. Okay. It's the only way we can get this in. Would you rather have Jake Slaughter? Okay. You can pick with your 2nd round pick, Jake Slaughter or Logan Jones. Maybe you don't agree with the PTA big board. You say, I like Logan Jones better. Let me know in the comments. Jake Slaughter or Logan Jones, who would be your pick at center? Also, if you guys are watching this video back later, let me know in the comments, how do you feel about Logan Jones's prospect report? Is there anything we got wrong? Is there something we're overlooking? Is there an injury we maybe missed? Something like that. Let us know in the comments what you think. Make sure you hit like, subscribe, click the bell icon so you know anytime we go live here in the future. What do you guys think? Slaughter or Logan Jones? Those are the choices here. All right. My Blazer says Slaughter. Got it, man. I'm with you. I like Logan Jones. Now, here's the thing. It's a great point here. Donovan Schilling says D'Angelo Ponce, right? I know there's going to be people, get ready, Donovan, they're coming with the pitchforks. They're going to say he's too small, he's too small, he's too small. Just ignore it, okay? It happens every year. If we went D'Angelo Ponce in the 2nd round, and again, my Blazer, I agree with you. Slaughter would be my pick in the 2nd, right? Now, D'Angelo Ponce is higher on our draft board, right? So you get better value at D'Angelo Ponce, cornerback out of Indiana. There in the 2nd round, and then you could grab Logan Jones in the 3rd, right? Or could you? What if he jumps in the 2nd and you miss out on Logan Jones? So now you missed out on Slaughter and Logan Jones, and we're right back to square one with the trenches, right? That's why I tend to agree with Blazer here in terms of Slaughter. And maybe the answer is trade back as well, right? That could be it. So again, Donovan Schilling said D'Angelo Ponce. He said, I don't give a F if people say he's too short. I'm with you, man, for sure. Adam Block says Slaughter for the name. Man, could you imagine? I'm going to take a sip on this too. Could you imagine Wayne Larrabee getting creative with the name Slaughter on a duo run, A-gap duo run, and just Slaughter getting to the 2nd level and Slaughter in the linebacker? Let me take a sip. I'm just saying. Pause for a dramatic effect. There's some guys who have football names, right? Darnell Savage was one, guys. There is no one that wanted Darnell Savage to work out more than this guy right here. With a name like Savage, supposed to be a hard-hitting safety, 4.3 40. Oh, my God. This is great. Cheeks, absolute cheeks, man. All right, Mike Z in the chat said, 1st-round talent, Jones is a steal. All right, got it, Mike. And listen, by the time we get to the draft, Mike, that may be the consensus. The board may shift and people change their mind. I get all this information in as early as possible, and there'll be late draft analysis effects to our board, but it's minimal because I want our board to favor and cater to how did people feel about these prospects immediately following the football season, right? Fresh on your mind, college football just wrapped up. The tape. What did they put on tape? How did we feel about them at the end of the season before they started running around in their underwear, before they started doing all this extracurricular stuff, which matters. It's important. But I just like my board to cater more toward the tape and the on-field performance. And he won't shift that much. I can't imagine a situation where he would jump in the first round for us, Mike. But if you think he's a first-round talent, man, reading that scouting report, I can see how someone would see it that way. Holmes says Slaughter. All right. H.E. Solder says Jones has more experience in a pro-style offense that mirrors what the Packers like to do. There you go. That's great info, Solder. Appreciate that, buddy. Appreciate it. Page and Dr. Crutch says, I like Pons, but I don't know that the office – well, that's a great point, Crutch. Great point, right? By the way, love the profile pic. For those of you listening on the pod, we got an American flag in the background. We got – is that a weenie dog? With a Green Bay Packer flat bill hat on. You got to love it. Get the snapback on. Absolutely love it. Donovan said, bought Savage jersey immediately. Who's 28 now? If they didn't Diggs took 28, if I remember correctly, right? So maybe he'll come back, wear 28, and you can just get that plate ripped off the back, put Diggs on it, right? Might be able to do that. Adam Block. More like Fred Savage. Well, that's a blast from the past right there. My goodness. All right. Coach Lynn, Savage dropped a game-winning pick in San Francisco. God, so true, man. And you know what's crazy, Coach? As I'm reading that, it's true. He dropped way more than he caught. I think we would all agree we missed on that pick. That's not to try to disparage his name too much here. But also think of Dallas when he had didn't he have a pick 6 in Dallas? Am I thinking right? In the playoff game? But then the next week, didn't play well. It's like, you've seen it, Coach. You've seen it from time to time, right? And then it seemed like more times than not, you've seen what you're talking about here, the drop, the game-winning pick in San Fran. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. All right. That's it, guys. We're going to wrap it up right there. Yeah, there you go. Chris confirmed. Yeah, he did that in Dallas. Yeah, I thought it was a pick 6. I knew it was an interception. Man, played rat perfect. Really, really, with that rat coverage, just got to sugar the heck out of Dak, right? And make Dak throw right into the chest plate. It was a great play. One of the few plays that we can look back on Savage and go, man, that was a great play, right? So, all right, now I see you, number one Packer fan. I don't disagree, but I'm not going to put it on the screen, okay? So we're going to wrap it up right there, guys. Appreciate everybody jumping in here. I can't believe we got through the stream without the power going out. Maybe we're good to go the rest of the day. I'm going to go downstairs to stoke the fire. We woke up this morning. It's 58 degrees in the house, so it was chilly. It was 4 degrees outside, and I know people in Wisconsin go, shut up. We would love to have 4 degrees right now, but it's pretty chilly. I'm going to go down there and stoke this fire and make sure that everything's good to go in terms of everything being charged up in case it goes back out again. But I appreciate everybody jumping in here and talking ball with us. I want to give a special shout out and thanks to Mike Z. Thank you so much for the super chat, buddy. Everybody in the Patreon group, greatly appreciate everyone over there and all the new members, all the OGs. You guys and gals are awesome. So we'll be around. Any interviews that get set, any breaking news that hits today, we'll go live as soon as we can to bring you guys that information as well. Do me a favor, spin those laces, hit that like button, hit subscribe, click the bell icon. My name's Clayton. This is PTA. Y'all stay safe out there. Go Pack, go.
Here we go.
We're out.
Bye, guys.